Hi, I'm Robert and this is my plastic and metal paint stripping tutorial. To start off, I'll say I have tried out various paint removal techniques for both plastic and metal minis in the past. I've been trying to find a method that works best for me for quite a few years now, and there's a lot out there with all kinds of suggestions. Out of all of these, Dettol, or I believe simply green in America, Dettol seemed to work the best for both plastic and metal minis. You'll need an antiseptic disinfectant. The most commonly known brand is Dettol, but I actually have used generic antiseptic disinfectant to great effect. As far as I can tell, the ingredient you need to look for is chloroxylenol. So maybe look for something with that ingredient that has a brownish or yellowish color. You'll also need a toothbrush, and the strength should be medium or hard, preferably. Sculpting tools or a needle or even a long thumbtack. A tub with a lid that can be sealed. A surface you don't mind getting dirty, and feel free to lay down newspaper or plastic sheeting if you're likely to get in trouble for staining your work area. And ultimately, you'll of course need metal or plastic minis that have paint that you want to remove. And in case you haven't guessed, you'll probably need to wear old clothes and wear protective gloves to protect yourself from any stray paint flecks. I just got a tub, popped the minis in with Dettol poured over them, covering them fully. I then left the tub for a few days, 24 hours being the very minimum, with the lid sealed fully. Once I took them out, it was a fairly simple process to scrub them with an old toothbrush to remove all of the paint. I would recommend that you use a tweezers to remove the minis from the Dettol, and then wear a pair of plastic gloves to protect your hands from the flecks of paint you will inevitably get everywhere. Maybe even put down some sheets if you want. And yes, I know I'm not wearing gloves. I don't actually have any at the moment, but I'll be washing my hands very thoroughly after this. It's one of those do what I say, not what I do kind of things. With miniatures, the less depth in the surface, the easier it is to do, obviously. That means for a 6mm Rhino, it was fairly easy, since there aren't many parts that have very deep surface details, while a 6mm Biker had a lot of deeper details with holes going under the bike and so on, and that needed a bit of extra effort. On many of the miniatures, like the Biker, the toothbrush was not quite enough, so I would suggest using either a sculpting tool, a needle like you'd get in a sewing kit, or the back of a scalpel to clean and dig out the hard to get lumps of paint. Now you need to make sure that you use the back of a scalpel if you are going to use a scalpel, because the blade can very easily damage the surface you're working on. But of course I really do recommend, if you have a sculpting tool or a needle, use them instead. There's no harm in repeating the dipping and brushing process if you're not happy with the outcome. I found that especially thick paint needs a couple of dips. And do keep in mind, though, that you will need to change your Dettol after a certain amount of use. The liquid can turn a dark grey quite quickly, and it can be hard to know when is best to change the Dettol and put in a new batch. So once you can see sediment settling on the bottom of the tub in the Dettol, it needs to be changed. You may also need to change your brush if the paint remains thick on it. I found that I could wash the brush, but it didn't get quite enough of the paint off it, and if you don't clean this properly, it can leave your miniatures slightly darkened after brushing them. If you want to take this to the next level, you could try dipping the miniatures in some hot water straight after the Dettol soak, and then just cleaning them that way. This seems to work better for some miniatures and didn't have any effect for others, so I do recommend you just experiment with the idea, and make sure you're careful not to use water that's fully boiled, as that will burn you, obviously, even through the gloves. Okay, that's it. If you liked this video, there'll be more like them, so subscribe to my channel for more. Thanks.